Hey everyone, this is Ryan Chen here with LoanKit. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why business is hard until you truly understand debt. If you want to keep more of the money your business makes, I'm going to explain exactly how to do it. Because the truth is, keeping your money is hard and you probably just don't understand debt well enough. Now, I personally funded over 300 business loans and reviewed thousands of files across 50 lending partners. And the one thing I learned is that the businesses that feel impossible to run and the ones that feel easy are almost never separated by how hard the owner works, but by how your debt is structured underneath them. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to flip your debt from the thing quietly draining your business into the thing that actually grows it. These are the things that the business owner who get funded at the best rates understand that you may not. Now, the first thing you have to understand is that every business runs on debt, whether you borrowed a dollar or not. I know that sounds intuitively wrong, especially if you're proud of being debt-free. But this one idea changes how you see every dollar that moves through your business. The easiest way to think about this is to picture your business as a boat on a river. The money moving in and out is the current underneath you, and it's always running in one direction or the other. If it's running with you, it carries you forward. But if it's running against you, every stroke is a fight. And most business owners are fighting it without even realizing. Even the ones who refuse to borrow are still fighting it. They think staying away from debt keeps them safe, but they are just rolling by hand while the other guy who sets his money upright gets carried past them. Because while you spent 2 years saving up to buy that truck in cash, your competitor financed his 6 months ago and took the jobs you couldn't. So you didn't avoid the cost. You just paid in away all the work you turned away. Now, although borrowing helped that guy win, that same dollar can carry you or drag you, and it has nothing to do with how much you borrow. It comes down to how it's structured. Let's take a merchant cash advance, for example. On the surface, it sounds manageable because on a $200,000 advance at a 1.3 factor rate, you're getting $200,000 and paying back $260,000. But the real cost was never the fee. It's the term and how often you're paying, because that money gets paid back daily, pulled straight out of your operating account every business day. So when you do the math, that comes out to around $32,000 a month in debits at an effective rate north of 70%. Now, if we take that exact same $200,000 as an SBA loan at around 10% per year over 10 years, the payment comes out to roughly $2,700 a month. So it's the same exact amount of money, except the one way costs you $32,000 a month, while the other costs you $2,700. And that's 12 times the debt service on an identical loan. It has nothing to do with how much you borrowed and everything to do with the structure. Because the SBA knows to stretch over 10 years and pulls once a month, while the advance is crammed into 8 and pulls every single day. And that's why two owners can run the exact same business, revenue, and trade, and one of them is barely keeping the lights on while the other is scaling. The one who's struggling is working just as hard. His debt is set up to pull cash out of the account every morning, and he's never seeing what's to look like done right. And those same daily debits drains the account down every single day. The balance gets tight, and a tight balance pushes him toward a second advance just to make payroll, then a third, and pretty soon the debits from all of them combined are pulling out more every month than he's ever borrowed in the first place. That's how a business making good money ends up broke. Now, to be clear, fast capital does have its place. When you need money in 24 hours and nothing else moves that quick, advance can be the right call. It only turns dangerous when a short-term product becomes the thing your whole business is leaning on. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because the way your debt is structured doesn't cost you today. It sets what every dollar costs you for years. If a business is doing $2 million a year with clean statements and one long-term note carrying that weight, a lender looks at that file and approves that 8% over 10 years. But if a business is doing that exact same $2 million with 3 stack advances, draining the account every day, and a balance that hits near zero twice a month, that same lender offers 35% over 12 months if they don't turn it down flat. And I see this play out every day because I'm the one reading those files. Both owners pose in the same revenue, but the second one gets the worst deal every time. Because the stack advances tell me his business is stretched thin, and the stretched business is the one every lender backs away from. Now, the main thing a lender is reading on that file is one number: your debt service coverage ratio, or DSCR. It's just your net operating income divided by your total annual debt payment. So if your business nets $300,000 a year and your payments come to $200,000, you're at a 1.5, which means for every dollar of debt, you got $1.50 coming to cover it. Most lenders wants to see at least 1.25. If you drop below 1.0, you're spending more on debt than the business makes, and no conventional lenders will touch you. And it's not just that one number either. They're reading your credit utilization, whether your revolving lines are maxed near the top. They're reading your cash flow over the last 3 to 6 months, whether your deposits are steady or all over the place. And they're looking at how many positions you're already carrying, because every one of those is really just asking the same thing: Is the business in control of its debt, or is the debt in control of the business? Most owners think the flip is just to make more money, so they push the revenue up, whack back in a year later, and hear the exact same note. Because that number doesn't move when your revenue goes up. It only moves when you change what you owe. You can post your best year ever and still get declined because you never touch the side of the equation that actually matters. So before you sign for another dollar, you run to do 2 questions. First, what is this money actually for? Is it going to bring in more, which is cover a hole? And second, is it going to raise your DSCR or sink it? Once every borrowing decision goes through these 2 questions, you stop taking on the kind of debt that feels fine the day you sign and quietly burns you 6 months later. So what all of this really comes down to is that your business has fell hard because your debt has been working against you this whole time. Every time month you move, you couldn't make every no from a lender. None of it came down to how hard you were working. And the fix is one move. You take that expensive short-term debt, refinance into one long-term note. A lot of owners here refinance and think they need to find money to pay something off, but that's not what this is, because you still own the same balance. You're just putting it on a longer term at a lower rate. So it posts monthly instead of daily. And that one change is what takes the weight off the business. I take in owners getting drained 40, 50, even 60,000 a month in daily MCA debits and refinance all of it into a single long-term note under 6,000 a month. Nothing about the business changed. It was the same debit and the same revenue, but the daily post stopped. The DSCR came up and the file went from something no lender would touch to the one they compete for. And that's the way that usually gets done. It's by polling against something the owner already has, like equity in their real estate, and using it to clear out the whole stack of expensive short-term positions at once. They still own roughly the same balance. It just costs them a fraction of what it used to every month. And once that long-term note is the foundation, the fast money finally has a place to live. A short-term advance goes back to what it actually was for, covering one specific gap where you know exactly when the money is coming back to clear. Same product that was sinking you, except now it's sitting on top of the foundation instead of being the foundation. That's the whole idea behind structuring a business the right way. You don't want one type of debt carrying everything. You want layers. A long-term note at the bottom holding the weight at the lowest rate in the longest term. A line of credit in the middle for the months that swing. And short-term capital only at the top for specific gaps it was built for. When it's stacked in that order, every layer makes the other work better. Your total monthly payments drops and your borrowing power goes up instead of down. And the second that structure flips, everything you were fighting for gets easier. The cash stays in the account, you finally have room to grow, and the next dollar you borrow costs less instead of more. And the business didn't change at all. You're the same owner, working just as hard as you always were, with the same revenue coming in the door. The only thing that moved was how the debt underneath it was built. That's the part guys like Dave Ramsey and the rest of them will never tell you. They say it's the only safe move, to stay away from debt completely. But the owners who actually build something don't run away from it. They just learn how to set it up so it works for their favor, in their favor, instead of against them. So if your business feels hard right now, this is why. And that's good news, because the structure problem is fixable once you know where you're looking at. It's a lot easier to fix than trying to grind your way out or working even harder. Now, if you want to see exactly how your own debt is working right now, whether it's carrying you or quietly draining you, we can look at it for you. There's a link below where you can send over your numbers and we'll show you exactly where you actually stand and what your DSCR is right now, and where there's a cheaper way to structure what you're already carrying. And once you can see that clearly, the real question becomes how to actually use that capital the right way, because there are a few different ways to pay depending on what your business is headed, and the wrong one can cost you years. So watch this video next, where I break down everything you need to know about debt so you can stop overpaying for every dollar you borrow.